everybody. Welcome to another episode of Maverick Wolf. It is what it is podcast. Tonight we have our special guest, Megas,
Oh,
TikTok, and my co-host, the annoying Pinoy. Yeah. So, our special guest, he is from the world of D&D. And here he is, Megas. So, Megas, ask a question for
yeah.
new people that decide to come into the D&D world, or people that never played or players. What is it that you always recommend? How to start?
That is an incredible question. D&D is a game that's about collaborative storytelling, right? The my favorite way to answer this question when people say, "Oh, there's just the rule book is 300 pages long. How do I even begin to learn how to play this game?" And I basically tell them the story about how I started playing with my 5-year-old daughter, who can barely read. She's like, "Can we play a game?" And we played some really lame game that was not D&D, but it did happen to have a 20-sided die and an 8-sided die as part of it. She was like, "This game's kind of boring. Can we play something else?" I handed her those two dice and I said, "You wake up in a cave. What do you do?" So that's literally it. That's the entire concept. Is the dungeon master is helping the players to tell a story about themselves that they find meaningful. And from that one phrase, "You wake up in a cave, what do you do?" I built this world together with my 5-year-old daughter. By the time we got to the end of the first session, she had a sword that talked to her. There was a mystical forest that was full of fog and an evil sorcerer and all kinds of stuff like that. And
Nice.
it's the beautiful part of the game because I would say, especially in the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons that was released a number of years ago, it became so much more accessible that way because everything's so much looser. There are, of course, rules, and in that sense, being a dungeon master, it's my responsibility to primarily make sure everybody's having fun, but also to make sure that there's some internal logic and consistency there. But if you want to start playing D&D, find a group of people and start. Don't worry about the rules. You'll figure those out or look them up as you go. But it literally can start as simply as someone who cares about the game and knows what they're doing already, saying to you, handing you a 20-sided die and an 8-sided die and saying, "You wake up in a cave. What do you do?"
It's all through the power of your imagination.
All of it. That's exactly it.
I get
Yeah,
dressed. I get dressed first.
Fair. Yeah, exactly. First thing you do is get dressed. You know what? Yeah, you get dressed. You look around, and there's clothes on the cave floor, and you go ahead and you put those on. As you look around the cave, though, you notice that there's like a backpack that looks like it used to be yours. You don't really remember though because you just woke up. But after you get dressed, you look through this backpack and you find 50 feet of rope. You find 4 torches, and you look up and you see like daylight, but like way up, like 50 feet up. You see daylight way up there. And you're able to eventually piece together that you fell into this cave, lost consciousness, and woke up, and now here you are. There's your backpack, there's your clothes. You can figure out yourself why your clothes are not on right now, but what do you do next?
Or how your clothes came off.
Yeah, exactly, right? Something happened up there on the surface. It was wild, but
great.
you don't remember it. Maybe alcohol was involved, maybe something. Who knows?
Yeah, you just go like
That's
the,
it.
the reason you fell into the cave is because you're like, "Hi, my name is Dora.
Exactly.
Let's go to the adventure."
Well, so
Right?
it's kind of similar like to the old used to play it on the Commodore VIC-20, you're going down this long corridor. What do you do? And you literally would have to type in commands. Turn left. And if it recognized it, you turned left, there's a door.
Yeah.
Or forget the door, burn the door. I'm sorry, you can't do that, or I'm sorry I don't understand, and
Mm-hmm. So picture exactly that concept, except that there's no such thing usually as a "sorry, you can't do that." I also play with a bunch of adults. I've got a Discord server, and we've got 5 players right now. Wonderful people that are joining. We had a 6th player, but scheduling stuff, he had to step back. But these 5 players have gotten together, and This started with me having two friends that I met on TikTok, of all places. They wanted to learn how to play, and I had never really run a game per se before, but I basically sat down with them and I created a tavern for them to meet up in. And the idea was they were going to have a few conversational pieces. They were going to roll some skill checks just to like figure out what they wanted to do that way. Then some goblins walked in and they were going to have a fight so I could teach them how combat worked. And that was going to be the end of the whole thing. From that, completely by accident, we have invented probably about a dozen towns, an entire continent, a kingdom, an evil assassins guild that they had to defeat. They've got backstories and family politics and bullshit that's happening all over the place. And that's how, like, we built an entire world together. And right now they're about to sail away from the whole continent to go and find some other player's family. It's an amazing experience just to make this whole thing up with all of us as we go along.
You see, Pinoy, I told you not to send people after you. You know, they have to stay away from that people.
What?
What is wrong with you, my brother? You do not send vodka in Grey Goose bottle. You send vodka from Ukraine, not Russia.
Let me check the live real quick. You guys converse. I gotta go check something real quick.
We're gonna converse. There it is. Amazing.
Yeah. Now wait.
We stand by while we investigate technical difficulties.
Okay. It's all good.
You see,
It's all good.
as we were walking through the shadow.
This is called live.
Yes. That's all right. We can
And-
fix that in the
and
editing
org-
afterward.
We got an orc that just popped into a world.
So what's the difference between like the traditional D&D or the I don't know how to say this, the D&D that you play versus like some of the other games like Warhammer or Star Wars and whatnot? Is there much difference or?
I would say yes, there is. So a game like Warhammer or like other games like that have a lot more structure to them. D&D, particularly the latest edition of D&D, is designed to be a lot more like spread out that way. Like it's a lot more vague on the rules. You can make up a lot more stuff. To be fair, there are modules that you can play through in Dungeons and Dragons that are more structured as well. And there are certain dungeon masters that like to play everything rules as written. And then there's dungeon masters that like to play a lot more fast and loose with the rules. But whereas a game like Warhammer is very strategy and tactically based, a game like D&D is primarily about role play and primarily about telling a good story.
Okay.
Mm.
Which is why they have the little figures and stuff on the other games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
but-
fun fact about that, in my game, there's no figures. Everything happens theater of the mind.
Nice.
There's no minis, there's no maps. Everything that we do is just people talking to each other on Discord.
Yeah, I see the elf now.
There,
Yeah.
exactly, right?
So,
Yeah. Well,
So-
I
so
mean, you
make-
can
so-
create entire worlds that way.
so we have somebody on the chat, David Carter. Hey, Mage. I think it's one of you guys from the Discord or from your area. He just came in and said, "What's up, Mage?" But yes, like so. Basically, you're saying like because like Bernard was saying, I seen it also like a lot of minis involved in D&D. But what your game is basically okay. Let me take a piece of paper. I create my own character. It has in my mind. I write it down. And I make my character. I decide whatever he wants to be. He, she, they, whatever you want to be, or alien, whatever you want to be. Like you choose the class you want to be.
Exactly.
So,
So-
does it all depends on like how you want to, like, let's say you make up the story. Okay,
Yeah.
this is what we're gonna do. So it depends on the time and the area of where you're gonna be, or is it the same character the whole way around?
That is a great question. I can tell you that so far, all of the characters that my players have created are still there. We did almost lose one because one of them almost died a couple of times. Actually, one of the characters did change. The character didn't die. He just like retired the character. He went off to go and like run some financial scam somewhere, and then he came up with a new character to continue playing the game. But that was the real crux of it is that because it's story driven, the story is about the world and it's about the players in that world. So if one of the characters like moves in or moves out or whatever, that's something that you can work with. It is possible to kill off an entire party. I've almost done it accidentally a couple of times, but it's not something that I try to do. It wasn't my fault.
Murder.
Okay, like the warlock was just like, these monsters are too weak. Can you give me something stronger? And I'm just like, yeah, all right. A bone dragon shows up, bitch. What now? And it almost killed off everybody. And I was like, okay, let's nerf this guy just a little bit. Yeah.
I do that in Warcraft all the time. That's a skill, baby. That's a skill.
Oh, yeah.
So Nope says hi.
Hello.
Nuop? N-U-A-P?
Yeah,
Nuop.
Nuap is a drow, meaning like a dark skinned elf. Is a drow rogue from my character. He's played by TikTok user Shazama and he's he's one of the first 2 players that I had in the party. He is currently involved in a polyamorous relationship with one of my Dungeon Master created characters, so which is a non-player character, an NPC, as well as a halfling rogue character played by another one of the players as well.
The more the merrier, kids. The more the merrier.
Exactly.
A nice triangle.
All love is love.
There you go.
Yeah.
Peace and love.
So what's with and I've seen for years I've seen this people do this with tabletops. They'll either have like and I tried to do it at one time for other reasons where they'll have like a projector from the bottom and they'll project the map up to the table. Now people are projecting it down onto the table, and of course if you got the dough, you just have one huge 72-inch TV and you put a piece of plexiglass on it and you play on that and you use a computer or whatnot. Is that still D&D, or is that something that or
you can do it that way? You can do it that way, but I can't emphasize this enough. You don't have to. D&D is extremely accessible. You don't need thousands of dollars. You don't need hundreds of dollars. All you need is the ability to tell a good story.
Fair enough.
Which is exactly what makes it so beautiful, because stories is really the important part of like the human experience. Like that's actually kind of like D&D is look, it's just a game. I know it's just a game, right? But if you consider the human experience, how we have passed down traditions from generation to generation, going back to cavemen telling stories around campfires, it's something that has always been a way that human beings have connected to each other. It's been a way that we've built societies, empires have risen and fallen on stories that became important, that mattered. And that's at the core of role play. It's at the core of role-playing games or any type of role play.
Okay, so
except the kind that your dirtier commenters are thinking about right now. Not that role play. Stop it.
Hey,
well, some of us hosts are thinking it right now.
Everything is role play. Don't worry about it.
It's all role play.
Handcuffs, but basically, for to bring it down to simple it down for newcomers like myself, even though I know a little bit, but are getting into this and don't know what's going on. It's basically like if you play Elden Ring, Elder Scrolls, you choose your character because of the world where you're at, and you level it up. You play, do certain quests and everything. Yep. Basically something like
that. So you do keep track of things like, or should I say you can? Well, speaking of probably more, I don't know if I want to say a more structured game, but probably one where they're more experienced players. You keep track of like experience, when to level up, or is there such a thing as that?
There is. So the monster manual, where like all of the different creatures that you can fight kind of show up, does indicate how much experience points each creature that you kill is worth. However, you don't have to keep track of experience points. We don't, even though at this point I would say that the players that I currently play with, they were all newbies when they started, but they're at the point now where I would consider them all experienced players. I don't think they're newbies anymore. And I wouldn't really describe myself as a newbie anymore either. We still don't track experience points. We do something called milestone leveling, meaning that when it makes sense to level up your character, you do so. So, you survived this fight with the zombie horde that was trying to overrun the village. You beat them back. Fantastic. How many zombies did everybody kill? I don't care. You beat back the zombies. Go ahead and take a level. You're now level 3 or something like that, right? I just recently leveled up all of my guys, all of my players to level 9. They had now did they like do anything for it? They rescued somebody's brother. That was more or less just what it was. But it made sense at that point. Be like, you've been level 8 for a long time. Go ahead and take level 9. You don't have to do it that way. Some dungeon masters do experience points. The problem that I have with experience points is that because it's combat exclusive, so you don't get experience points for an excellent role play interaction. You don't get experience points for stopping a battle from happening using diplomacy or something. And if you use, there's a famous dungeon master, Brendan Lee Mulligan. You might remember him from the College Humor crew. He's a dungeon master who had a thought on combat XP, and he basically said that if you use exclusively combat-based XP for leveling up your characters, invariably you create a situation where every school, every adventuring academy, every wizarding school in your world shouldn't have classrooms. They should have battlegrounds, because if you want to learn how to be good at magic, people got to die, because experience points representing leveling up that way. And I never liked that idea of having some mathematical. There's enough math in D&D without us having to keep track of XP. My players are having a hard enough time keeping track of how much gold they have.
Now you're bragging.
Share the loot.
I am a generous god. They have platinum now. It's all good. Yeah. Yep. They got so much gold right now that some of them are trying to dump it because it's more fun to steal stuff. Rogues. What can I say?
Yeah.
So basically, do that. You can do D&D out of everything. Any scenario, anything that you want to. It doesn't have to be like rogues. It could be, say, Mandalorian. You want to be a Mandalorian type, and you bring him, like, you mix and match the characters. You can do that.
The Mandalorian,
bounty hunter, basically.
Yeah. That Mandalorian, he would be, actually, I can translate him to D&D. This would be my best guess, and you're gonna get a swirl of comments saying, no, he's not like that. He's like that. Whatever. I'm gonna give him. He's probably like a level 2 fighter, level 4 rogue, and he's probably even level 3 or 4 artificer. Like, I'm just put a D&D skin on the Mandalorian. That's what he does, because he's got gadgets and gizmos. He's a fighter, and he's a sneaky bastard if he needs to be.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's the idea. Let me ask you a question. If you were when people say, well, what kind of a character should I be? I say, what do you want to be? I'll fire the question at you. Tell you what. I'll give you some like logic tree questions here. You're gonna make a character for D&D. Do you want to be someone who's like really good at fighting, or do you want to be someone who's really good at magic? Fighting. Okay, cool. In the world of fighting, fighting because you were trained to from birth, fighting because you're like Hulk, you get really mad, and when you get really mad, you pound shit into dust, or good at fighting because God makes you good at fighting, and you're the fist of righteousness and the wrath of God.
Because I would say you're trained.
Training? Fighter. Fighter. That would be your class at that point. So fighter means you're very good with martial weapons. It means that you get like extra attacks when you go in that way. That would be an example. Another way that I've walked people through this is they say, well, I want to be a magic user. I say, okay, magical because God chose you. Magical because you were just born special and you think you're all that in a bag of chips. Magical because you studied your ass off and you're just really, really good at it that way. Magical because, again, wrath of God. Or magical because you have a wonderful connection with the furry animals in nature and you just love them so much.
Oh, God, I threw up in my mouth.
There are no druids in my party either, just saying.
Yeah. You see, like for me, like every time, like let's say I play like Elden Ring, or I mean not Elden Ring, but like Elder Scrolls or Warcraft, I always chose the Ranger.
Yep. Ranger is a D&D class as well. In fact, like Elden Rings, it takes place in the same world basically. So yes, Rangers are typically really good at bows, like ranged attacks. And Rangers are. There's no Rangers in my party right now because, frankly, if you're going to be a Ranger, just be a Druid. Yeah.
Tree hugger.
Exactly. Yeah, because Rangers are typically tree huggers as well, except with less cool magical stuff. Because here's the thing: if you want to be magical because you have a wonderful connection with nature, I mean, sure, that sounds a little bit pansy, I suppose. Right up until you realize that at a certain level, you can just straight up turn into a grizzly bear and tear your enemies apart.
See, I will be the class that would you see a bunch of let's just grab typical creatures here. You see a bunch of orcs in a group hiding around the corner. What do? I run around a corner, spank one of them, run back to the group and say, "Hey guys, guess what?
Okay.
That's me."
You might be a bard. I don't know. Just saying. Right?
Throw a coin to your witcher.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that might be. Yeah, that sounds bardy, I suppose. Yeah. Oh man. No, I love it. We had the guy who had to step back from our game. He was a barbarian. He basically was extremely powerful because he got angry, which was incredible. And then we also have 2 rogues, and they're also like fighters, except that the rogues are a type of fighter where it's like the whole point is you don't see them coming. So they're more like assassins, the shadowy figures that lurk in the dark. Or in the case of Nuap, who showed up, in the chat here earlier, it just means that he likes stealing shit.
We got the chat going on. Like,
see, I don't know if I'd be. I don't know if I'd be. I would probably toss myself up, and just based on other fantasy style games I've played before, I've always leaned towards like a warlock, a ranger, or cleric.
Mm-hmm. Cleric is magical because God gives them power. Warlock is magical because they sold their soul to the devil.
That's me.
There you go. All right, perfect. That's more or less.
That's it.
Yeah.
I got a question. Let's say.
Yeah.
Putting this together now that I heard Pinoy saying this, what if you want to be a ranger, warlock, and I will say maybe what's the other? The fighter. You want to be all 3 together.
Multi-class. Yeah, you can multi-class. In fact, 2 of my players did multi-class. Nuap, the rogue, has actually got 2 levels in fighter. Millie, the halfling rogue that Nuap is in a relationship with, is also got, I think, 3 or 4 levels in artificer now. So it's rogue artificer, and then there's also rogue fighter.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Then we got 2 sorcerers.
I always saw myself like, basically Aragon.
Okay.
Ranger.
Yeah.
What is Blood Hunter?
Oh, Blood Hunter is, I believe, it's a type of ranger. So it's like a subclass, gives you extra abilities, extra stuff like that you can do.
It's something you can't be. It's something you can't be, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know Blood Hunter? Yeah, too short. Oh, never think that being of short stature limits your character. So everything I've said about like the class of character is nothing about who the character is as a person. I'll go through the list. Nuap, the drow elf rogue. Grew up in the Underdark, super dark backstory. All of them do because that's just the way it is sometimes. And has this bone to pick with the world. And then we have a 6-foot-tall vampire woman who was elven but turned into a vampire, and she like had to suck blood for a while, and she still does, but she's got like a pet goblin that like willingly lets her blood let him now, which is weird. That developed over a number of sessions. Don't worry about it.
I'm curiously strangely aroused now.
You know what? Half the party is whenever they see this happen. It's very weird to me.
So basically, she has a taste for like she has a thirst for goblin blood.
Yes,
I'm gonna say 6-foot vampire, female vampire.
Hey,
I'm like, okay,
mommy.
I'm interested.
Yes, mommy. What's up? Right? Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, but the other sorcerer in the party is someone who has a ridiculously high intimidation score. I mean, she's got the ability to intimidate people. She gets like a +6 or +8 to intimidate every time she has to intimidate somebody. However, she's an 8-inch tall fairy folk with butterfly wings.
Okay.
So you're thinking like think like tiny little person with like Greek mama energy. Like, I'm going to make you 15 pancakes and you're going to eat them all, and don't you dare say that you're not worthy of love or I'll smack you with my slipper. Like, that's the energy that she gives you. And if you ever really piss her off, I know that you're doing the whole flick little fairy thing.
Where's my electric fly swatter?
Exactly. She can cast a 20-foot diameter fireball that does like 9d6 fire damage. And she can cast 2 of them in a single turn. So if you really piss her off, she will end you.
Yeah, very tall or very short. I'm still aroused a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, hey, the halfling woman's 3 feet tall, but she's already got 2 boyfriends, so...
Oh, damn. Always late.
There it is. Yep. Awesome.
But
Okay.
Yeah. And then our last player is a human Viking type warlock from the Northlands, and he's best described as, he would not say that the character is insane. I would though. He's totally batshit. He's got some kind of like a worshipful thing going on for his patron, who is like the devil that he sold his soul to, and is very intolerant of other religions, to the point where he's got a habit of like cutting off the ears of clerics of other religions and like dangling them in front of his face, because what are you going to do about it? What? Yeah.
Isabel said, "Hey, Lily can do 2 fireballs."
Lily, Lily is the 6 foot tall vampiress.
2 fireballs.
Yeah, Lily can do 2 fireballs, and so can Cookie. Cookie is the 8-inch tall fairy.
I need to find a woman like that in real life. I swear.
Yeah, like, I'm like, I just been reading the chat. I'm like, yeah, about it.
I know.
Like, it's good. It's good because, like, just to give you a hint about what is Maverick Wolf, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, it like years ago, like not years ago, but a long time ago, myself, Maverick Wolf, was part of a group that should not be named. Nah, I'm just joking. No, I was in another podcast called Tekken and Syndicate back in the day. So things got like, I didn't feel the vibe too much, and at a certain point of my aspect, because I was going through some drama on my side of my family. So kind of like
My sympathies. I know what that's like.
So I called it. I called it quits and everything. Then I was like, you know what? I want to make a new podcast. I want to make a new podcast. And I told him every night when we used to go on live, I want to make a new podcast. He goes like, bro, just do it. Do it. Get it out of the system.
Just do it.
So I'm like, okay. So we came up with the name because I always, talking with him, I will always say on the phone, oh, it's all good. It is what it is. And he goes, there's the name.
Yep.
But it's because I want it to be not only about our hobby, because we're model builders. We do gun runs.
Yeah.
And we build anything like model.
You build models. And here I am the whole time I've been talking and shitting on the whole, you don't need models to play. You really don't. Sorry. You need models. Buy this guy's models. They're important.
So we basically do them. So I was talking with him. I'm like, you know what? I want to open up the podcast and throw it out there for everybody from different communities of TikTok and Instagram. Because we model builders, we have all types. You got artists, you got D&D players, you have like fitness jockeys, you have etc. So we just kind of like, let's throw it out. Let's see what happens. We threw the first one out. Boom. The second, one of the last podcasts, we had two people from 2 different parts of an art wear. So we had a tattoo artist and a music producer, both on the same podcast, the same night. And we were like, bro, let's throw this out there. Let's, because I want to bring more to the people, but I also want to share with more people and meet more people. And this is a good way to open up and put it out there.
Yeah. Podcast is about just about anything and everything, whatever tickles us. And this is D&D is one of those things. It's surprisingly, and a lot of people don't know this, you'd be surprised how many people in all walks are, let's just say, not only just dungeon masters, but actually play the game. Like the guy that played Deathstroke. Yeah. In Batman, was it Batman versus Superman?
You mean Joe Milano?
Yeah, I don't know his name. I don't know that. But he's a dungeon master.
Yeah, Superman is he plays Warhammer.
In fact, the game has got a resurgence of popularity, and it's wonderful to see. I mean, like, there was a time when this was relegated to, like, there were campaigns against the game. Oh, it's satanic, it's evil, all this, like, that all happened. That was more of a North American thing, but it was like didn't really happen in the rest of the world. But there's this resurgence in popularity, and I would opine pretty strongly it is directly because of how accessible 5th edition is. It was also 5th edition was also made explicitly much more friendly to ethnic diversity as well as to like the LGBT community. It was just much more explicitly open and welcoming to all these different communities, and as such, it became this uniting thing for a lot of different people who might have otherwise been ostracized by society for whatever reason.
Okay, I got something for you.
Yeah.
Somebody said here, if you don't talk about the emotional damage aspect of the game, they'll be disappointed. That's. I want to know okay, what's
Speak
going on?
up. Speak up.
There was an incident in my campaign. So I invent, part of my job is to invent characters for them to interact with. One of them was a little fairy dragon. Picture a dragon that's the size of a cat and is adorable in every way. And I created a voice for this thing. He talked like he was really happy all the time. He was this bubbly little, irritatingly happy guy. And the party adopted this thing, became a pet. It's been with them for like a dozen sessions now. There was an incident in which the drow elf got spooked a little bit by something that this fairy dragon had said. And the options that this guy had, which were to talk to the rest of the party, talk to me to say, what the hell was that? Talk to the fairy dragon to be like, what did you mean by that? Or he could take this beloved pet character of the party to a tavern, bring him up to like the room at the top of the tavern, pin him to the floor, put a bag over his head, and interrogate him Guantanamo Bay style. It was really challenging. I mean, not challenging from I couldn't believe that this player did that. It was so hilarious. He was just like, that's your reaction to this stray comment? But whatever, it happened. My characters are not necessarily good people, and I should have seen that coming.
Isabel says, you should do the voice.
Oh, the voice. Which one?
So all the voices.
All the voices. All right. The Artificer does this thing where he created familiars for everybody. He created a magical item, which was a spell-brought tattoo that allows you to find familiar. It's a spell. That's the mechanics behind it for the nerds who are listening. But anyway, the idea is that by the time everyone's done, everyone has their own familiar. And because I'm the DM and I can make up whatever I want, the familiars come and they have their own voice. So one of them summons a Timberwolf who sounds a little bit like Liam Neeson, right? I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you want me to be your familiar, I can tell you, and I'm willing to do it. But I will find you, and I will kill you. And then one of them brought like a raven into there who had like a stereotypically Canadian accent. Be like, oh yeah, we're going through the woods there. We'll find some wonderful stuff over here, and I'll fly around and scout out the whole area for you. It's great. For reasons I cannot articulate, almost every tavern owner in this world has an Irish accent. What can I do you for? So that all happens too. And that's a complete accident on my part. There is a giant, the 8-inch fairy got a familiar that was in the shape of a moose. The D&D nerds who are listening, I know it's not allowed to be a moose. I'm the dungeon master. I can do whatever I want. And I wanted her, an 8-inch tall fairy, to have a freaking moose. So I gave her one. And it has the voice of Matthew McConaughey. It showed up. All right. It's this walking ball. It's this walking ball of sexual, of just sexual tension that's just walking around, named Chocolate, of course.
And he's a moose.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I love it.
Isabel, who commented, that's who plays Lily the vampire. She has an animal companion, which is like this horrifically disfigured zombie tiger, like a white fur tiger. But it's like zombified, half its face is rotten off or whatever. And the party discovered this vampire, and this tiger was like turned to stone beside her coffin just before they like resurrected her, and she was just like, "Oh, hi," and she joined the party. And then the tiger comes to life and turns to them and does this little, and then all of a sudden goes, "You woke her up? That's gonna be awful. She's gonna be so mad when she wakes up." And it's like Sid the Sloth from Ice Age is the voice of this tiger. And so we just kept on subverting all of this crap. It was amazing. And Millie the Halfling had a familiar that she dismissed, that she didn't want anymore because she had too much other stuff going on. Honestly, I think that the player playing Millie thought I had too many voices to do, so she got rid of Antonio Banderas the cat.
Oh.
Yeah, she dismissed Antonio Banderas, which is fun. But I mean, that was a fun one to voice as well. The cat shows up just like my mistress, my mistress. Yeah, Puss and Boots. Yeah, my mistress. I have
love it.
Nothing but respect and love for you in this time. So I mean, look, not every dungeon master has to make up a million voices for them. It's something that I've always enjoyed doing. I know my accents are shit. I know they don't sound a damn thing like what they're supposed to. But it's not on planet Earth, okay? It's happening in the world that I made. So these people come from who knows where, and that's what it is.
Somebody's saying you got to do Walter.
Oh yeah, Walter is the owl that Lily the Vampire also has. Have you guys seen Jeff Dunham, the puppet guy, right? Walter. She has an owl with the voice of Walter.
My God.
Yeah, who showed up. So you picture this adorable little like Hedwig from Harry Potter shows up and goes, "What the hell do you want now?" Fine, I'll fly through this stupid cave, but you know I'm a giant white owl. It's not like no one's gonna see me and shoot my ass. Yeah, which happened once. Actually, the owl did get shot right out of the sky. But to be fair, he deserved it.
Oh my God.
So we can safely say that in our hobby, in our community, there's a phrase that gets trampled on often recently. Gunplay is freedom. Do it however you want, how you want, no rules. D&D is the same thing. D&D is freedom. Freedom to do just about whatever you want.
My party certainly thinks so. My party certainly thinks so. But they've burned down 3 towns. And because of their direct involvement, there's now a wizard that has ascended to lichdom and is slowly turning the whole continent into an undead kingdom. Consequences happen, bro.
Kids will be kids, you know. I mean, let them. They'll learn.
They'll learn. And you know, I'm being as realistic as I can. They showed up at one town that they had previously completely destroyed, and because I'm feeling generous, there are people in it again because they're not there anymore to kill everybody. And they go up to, they're just like, I'm gonna find the potion shop. I'm like, what potion shop? The one you burned down after replacing its inventory with fake potions the last time you were here? Yeah, it's gone. What's up? You know?
So basically, not as like we say, you know, like Gundam is freedom, but they should also think like Master Yoda said, do or do not.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. I don't ever want there to be a situation where my players say, I want to do this, and I don't want to ever to be like, there's no mechanic for that, so no. I want them to be like, you know, but if one of my players says something like, I want to go up and kill this guy to take his stuff, I'll be like, cool, he's a level 17 fighter. You didn't know that, but roll for initiative. What's up?
So basically, you like, okay, we want to fight this guy, and you're like, okay, he's level 20.
Exactly.
Like,
yep.
Bro,
Yep. We actually had one of our characters is going through a moment of like character growth right now. Halflings love food in this world and in most worlds. Halflings are that's what they do. They really love their food. She died, like full died, went to halfling afterlife where the halfling goddess is someone named Yandala. Welcomed her to the banquet table, and she tasted from this banquet table. And after she had done that, yoink, she's pulled out of the afterlife because someone had cast like a resurrect spell on her, and she's back in the world. But she's tasted food from the table of her goddess. And as such, all food on the material plane now tastes kind of like cardboard. And so she's going through this thing right now where she just tried to interact with her goddess again and be like, why did this happen? Why does food taste terrible? Are you punishing me? And the goddess is like, it was an accident. I didn't think you were going to be resurrected. It was, you know, and so turning into this whole thing. And as a result, this character is now faced with this situation where permanently, because I'm the DM and I ruled it that way, she will never really enjoy material plane food again. And she's going through this like really hard emotional time of like this thing that she loved is not for her anymore. And the goddess tried to make it right, gave her a pouch that has like magical food, but she can't ever cook with her friends or loved ones again. And that kind of a emotional damage happens in the campaign all the time. And she was interacting with a cleric of Yandala, so someone like a worshiper of Yandala. This cleric, she didn't know this, is a level 20 cleric who has like tremendous. She's a level 9 rogue. She had no idea that she was talking to someone who's like incredibly powerful. Because you know, I dressed her up as someone who's like this old frail woman. Be like, yeah, no, this is like Yandala's Yoda essentially is what's happening here. So
he's the evil stepdad DM.
Yeah. So I know most like because I seen it and I recently revisit that area and Stranger Things. A campaign can go up for months.
Ours has been. Actually don't know when we started anymore. I know it was months ago. Goodness, it must have been last year, I think, when we started this campaign.
Mm.
Yeah, started with 2 players. We're up to 5 now. We were up to 6, down to 5 now. Might add a 6th one, but probably not for a while. But yeah, it's been going on for a month because every time we finish a session, there's always what happens next. Like what's the next thing? Yeah. And I'm only just starting now to run out of ideas on this continent, which is why I'm like, and now you all get on the boat and go over there so that I have a fresh slate to work with. Because I don't know. What do you mean? What do you? We had a whole campaign centered around the fact that there was this Assassin's Guild, evil Assassin's Guild that's like controlling the town, oppressing the people. You got to go take them out because you're the good guys. No, you're not. But whatever. You're going to pretend to be the good guys and take out this Assassin's Guild. Then they find out that the halfling's mother is leading it. And they had to be this whole like family dynamic of like, breaking that whole thing down. And then they killed the halfling's mom, leaving a power vacuum. And I was just like, and that's how we're going to wrap up season 1. They're like, but what about this? I'm like, okay, we do a side quest to deal with that. What about, okay, we do a side quest to, and that's where we're at now. And then there was a wizard I had to invent whose name is Wayne Smirnoff. Why? Because at the time I invented him, I was drinking Wayne Gretzky's whiskey, and there was a bottle of Smirnoff vodka on the shelf.
There you go.
They're like, what's his name? His name is Wayne Smirnoff.
Nice.
Who now turns out to be like a ridiculously evil character who like tortured children because I'm a monster. They're trying to kill him, but he's too powerful for them for now because I need ideas for season 3.
Okay, so people that are not in the D&D world and are kind of like the other areas of our nerdy universe, Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker gone rogue.
Yeah, Anakin Skywalker. What would Anakin Skywalker be? He definitely is a. You know what? The Jedi is primarily paladins. I would say they're probably paladins. And then Anakin would be a type of paladin called an Oathbreaker paladin. So a paladin that has fallen and turned into like an evil paladin, which means he's got like different powers. It's noteworthy that as far as I know, Darth Vader is the only Sith who has like access to certain spells or cantrips, as you would call them in the D&D world, like the one where you choke someone with the Force. Because if you think the Force is something you can just use, but I mean, Darth Sidious doesn't use that. None of the Jedi use that. I mean, pretty effective weapon, right? Ow. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, for those, and speaking of the nerds on that side, not to be disrespectful, we're nerds. Be proud of it. Own up to it. For like the Star Wars side, there's you have the counselors, the sentinels, what was the lightning casters?
You had.
I had one in
You had the sentinels, the council.
Darth Sidious was one. I had a character named Malik.
Yeah,
just like the Sith, and she was the same class where it was mostly just lightning, casting. So Darth Vader would be probably the only one that could probably do almost all of them.
Yeah,
the combination. So he's like a special class.
Yes.
All to
he's a multi-class.
Yes, he's a multi-class, and he's level 20 on everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly this guy, right? Yeah. That said, I mean, the Star Wars, the movies in particular, kind of like broke that a little. I mean, look, in the sequels, like the episode 7, 8, 9, right? We saw Ghost Yoda use lightning. We saw, like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff where, and we also saw, Luke Skywalker project himself astrally across half the galaxy, and then concentrated himself to death doing so. I guess I don't really know. You know what? Full confession,
he looked constipated to me.
Yeah, he constipated himself to death.
It was kind of like funny also that you mentioned that, because even though like one of the Force powers we saw that hasn't been shown in any of the Star Wars movies before was Kylo stopping a blaster.
Yeah.
I got one thing to say. sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you think about it, like in a world where those blasters are not actually shooting laser cannons, they're actually shooting like actual like plasma bolts of sorts,
Yes.
right? So they actually are moving at a slower speed. In a universe where the Force exists, why the hell would you not stop all of those pieces of matter coming at you with the Force in the first place? What the hell are you playing baseball with your lightsaber for? Nothing about this. So they introduced this thing. They introduced this ridiculous mechanic where you can just stop a blaster bolt with the Force and be like, this whole time that was an option, right?
And nobody told me this was an option. I could have been doing this.
Here's
You know,
something
he was
else that
doing
was never an option before: weaponizing hyperspace.
The Neo thing.
Yeah, the Neo thing. Yeah, they're just doing the Neo thing, right? Yeah, but I mean, or also weaponizing hyperspace. Like, hold up, you can do that? Why the hell are we flying in a ditch on the Death Star trying to shoot this thing into this little thing that a wombat, whatever thing, can fit into? When we could have just had a missile, put a hyperspace drive on it, and flew it through the middle of this damn thing. Yeah.
See, it's the same question I always bring up at least once every other live stream. Why the hell does a 200-foot Gundam, computerized with a pilot inside, targeting systems and everything, need a scope on his gun?
Right?
What is he gonna sit there and go, you know, this pilot's here on average, the pilot's here.
Yeah.
He's gonna raise that thing up over here to an eyeball.
Yep.
Wouldn't it not be computer synchronized with the hands as to where he's aiming?
Yeah. Like, you would think.
See,
right?
He gets it. He gets it.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. You know, that is
I
true.
mean,
like you say.
we can all probably agree that episode 4, 5, and 6 were among the finest science fiction ever made. And I'm saying that, I'm admitting this as a guy who is a Star Trek fan first and foremost. But those movies were fantastic. You get into the prequel. Have you guys ever, like, so look, the waste in episode 1 of Darth Maul. Can we talk about Darth Maul for a minute? Can we talk about this? Right? Because listen, okay. Oh, he didn't actually die. Screw you. You cut him in half and fell him down. He's dead. He is dead. The man is dead.
You cauterized the wound, though. See?
Sure. The dude has no bottom half of his digestive system. I don't care. You cauterize that. The man is dead. He is done. Whatever, right? But beyond that, can I walk through something here with you? Darth Maul, right? Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan. Let's talk about the potential of this, right? One of the things that I love doing as a dungeon master in D&D, I don't waste a good villain. I keep them alive for as long as I can because I want them to tell their story first, right? You've got Darth Maul and you've got Obi-Wan. In episode 1, you've got the setup where everything is beautiful. Young Anakin Skywalker coming into the fold, and you've got Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan. Darth Maul kills Qui-Gon in front of Obi-Wan, and there's this anger and hate kind of rising up in Obi-Wan. Anger and hate. This is from the dark side.
That's right.
Right? So you have this whole thing, and then they go into this like furious lightsaber battle, and now watch what happens. Darth Maul is going to escape, or something's going to interrupt them. The lightsaber battle is not gonna. You're not going to get that satisfaction at the end of it. Why? Because now we're going into episode 2, and Darth Maul is still alive, and Obi-Wan is still after him, and there's this struggle rising in Obi-Wan as he's like struggling with his anger and his lust for vengeance. And in the meantime, you're introduced to this idea that, you know, Qui-Gon has found the way to immortality, and to teach you how to commune with him, I will show you. So you have this whole thing happening. And so Obi-Wan is like wrestling with the ghost of his dead master, and he's wrestling with his need to avenge his master. And Darth Maul is becoming more powerful and more evil as time goes on. And then you get to episode 3, and episode 3, you finally have this massive showdown where Anakin is fallen to the dark side, and you set up this beautiful mirror image juxtaposition. Obi-Wan and Anakin struggling with the same anger, and Anakin falls and becomes Darth Vader, and Obi-Wan overcomes his anger, kills Darth Maul, but overcomes his anger and his need for vengeance and bitterness, and becomes Old Ben, right? In episode 3. It's this beautiful mirror image of Obi-Wan and Anakin. One overcomes it, the other falls to it. Or you can slice them in half in episode 1 and toss them down a storm drain, and then introduce Count Dooku in episode 2, who is like old as dirt and has absolutely no reason to live or exist whatsoever. And after him, you can get a 6-armed android who's been taught the ways of the Force by Count Dooku. Are you kidding me?
General Kenobi.
General
know that.
Kenobi, right? Right. And look, I know General Grievous was apparently better in the comics. I don't care. I never read that. I watched the movies, and General Grievous was disgusting on film. I'm just like, you gave us Darth Maul, and then this. You gave us Count Dooku, and then this piece of metal shit. Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
I love him.
what
That
kind
brutal
of a villain-
honesty.
Right? What kind of a villain is this guy? You had something amazing with this rivalry between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan, and then you had him just like Obi-Wan's crisis of conscience lasted all of 3 minutes before he slaughtered Darth Maul. And didn't fall to the dark side, apparently, which is interesting. I mean, to me, episode 1, 2, and 3 are the finest proof that George Lucas needed those people around him who were around him for episode 4, 5, and 6, who told him, no, dude, that's a dumb idea. Because by the time he's making episode 1, 2, and 3, everyone was worshiping the ground he walked on and begging to lick his boots. And he was just like, oh, yeah, here's the amazing script. And everyone's just like, yeah, okay.
Meanwhile, they're going,
Right? Yeah, exactly.
But
But it was not Star Wars' fault. It was the fault of the writing, because you had the same problem in episode 7, 8, and 9. But get Jon Favreau involved, and you get The Mandalorian. There's some of those beautiful television shows ever written. Jon Favreau is brilliant. He's a genius. They should have given him full creative control over the whole franchise.
There's another one he did that was fantasy based, but it was set like thousands of years in the future, where humans evolved into elves. Chronicles. Oh God, I need to find.
Chronicles Riddick? No.
It was there was, you could still, they would find pieces from like a pot or a pan. You know, they wouldn't really know what it was. There was a sacred place, and you basically saw like a highway sign, but some of the letters were scraped off. So that was the name of the place, the remaining letters. But there were elves, druids, a couple druids. Druids were very rare.
Okay.
And there was magic casting. And even in the intro of the series, or every show, it would show like skyscrapers falling, and then it was almost like a family tree that was sprouting up. And say one would go off and say elves, druid, all spawning from humans. It's like their next evolutionary chain. I cannot remember the name of it, but Jon Favreau.
Gotta tell you, I'm completely unfamiliar with what it is. But let me put it this way: if I know that Jon Favreau was behind it, I'd watch it.
Oh, it was awesome. I don't know if they're still making it, but I'll have to find it. So, before we end, do you want to run through some of the dice roll stuff?
Let's do it. All right, cool. The best way to understand the dice is probably just to jump in and do it. I'm gonna give both of you. Tell you what, Carl, you are a warlock. Shoulder to the devil. You have magical power because you shoulder to the devil.
Yes.
Marcos, you've got you're a fighter, really good with the sword, taught by your father. Cool. All right. You guys meet up in a tavern because you've been told that somebody in this tavern is looking to hire a couple of adventurers to clear out a cave somewhere. All right. So you meet in the tavern. You're setting this all up. You guys get together, and the first roll I'm going to have you guys do is going to be a D20 roll. It's a Constitution saving throw. Why? Because both of you are drinking and you're about to get drunk. So Constitution saving throw means for a fighter, to prevent yourself from getting drunk, to test whether you can hold your liquor. For a fighter, I'm going to have you roll a 13 or higher on a 20-sided die.
Okay, let's see about that. 16.
16. You, sir, can hold your liquor. All right, warlock. For you to not be drunk because you're a warlock, your constitution is lower. I need you to roll a 16 or higher, not a 13 or higher.
And I'll take a screenshot of this. 20.
Okay. Natural 20? Oh, man. Wow. All right. Both of you are able to hold your liquor. You know what? Your patron, the demon or devil that you sold your soul to for your power, knows what's up, and he's just like, I want you to be awake for this. So he gave you a little special infusion of his power, which is why you're not plastered right now. As you guys are there, the mayor of the town walks over to you and he says, "Well, good evening, adventure." There goes the Irish accent again. Hang on, I'm gonna do better. I don't want to do Irish anymore.
Canadian barkeep.
Yeah. Hey, well, lads, it's great to see you there, boys. Are you having a great time today, eh?
That's an Irish Canadian, but we'll go
Okay,
with it.
fine. Newfoundlander, all right? Shut up.
All right.
All right. That's good. Yeah.
Okay,
He walks up to the table. He's carrying a glass of whiskey, and he basically just sitting here going. Well, lads, I'm glad you've made it. Are you okay? I'm going Irish again, son of a bitch. All right.
Stay with the Irish.
We'll go with it.
We'll go with it. Yeah. Are you the two adventurers that I've been told are able to help us with our problems here in the town today?
Yes.
It depends if you pay me enough.
Ooh, good answer from the warlock. He'd be like, "Our treasury is loaded and prepared to reward you with 300 gold pieces upon your successful completion of the quest."
That is too low for my.
You went from yes to that is too low? Fine. You know what? Actually, as you say that, another example, a great example for a thing. You don't have a very high charisma score, which means, because you're a fighter, which means you're going to roll a persuasion check. However, you're going to roll the persuasion check as if you have a lower persuasion score. I'm creating your character sheet in my head right now as we're doing this. I need you to roll a 14 or higher to persuade this mayor to pay you more than 300.
On the D20?
On the D20, yep. Almost all skill checks happen on the D20.
Ha ha! At 19.
19? Okay. Now, we'll role play this. What do you say to the mayor to convince him to give you more gold? You already know it's going to work, so come up with something good.
Let's see. So
No pressure.
yeah, it's a little bit, like you want to give me 300. I believe the adventure is worth more than what we can bring. It will worth your while.
Right and fair comment you make, good sir. Very well, it'll be 500 gold for each of you if you succeed. But be warned, there's danger, and you may not come back at all.
I laugh in the face of danger.
And with that, he begins to describe the quest. And through the next of the conversation, you've discovered that the cemetery outside the town has been emptying, which is concerning. Graves are being found the following morning, being broken open, and the bodies are missing. Some of them have been buried there for years, others for a matter of months, or even days. And these corpses are being taken from the cemetery. And he wants you to investigate, find out why that's happening, and deal with whatever threats might be lurking. And he follows it up with, "I can tell you for sure, once someone's working with the dead, you can be sure there's evil afoot."
Well, that's kind of racist towards me. Oh, wait, no, I'm not a necromancer. Never mind.
You're a warlock, man. Necromancers are wizards, actually. Yeah.
Yo, man, you got to stop telling your boss to start checking people. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yep. Cool. Where do you guys head off? You guys head to the cemetery first, or?
I say we head to the cemetery first to investigate.
Cool. All right. Stand by for a second here. I'm actually going to roll a few things myself as a dungeon master. I want better dice than this. This dice is terrible. I'm going to draw this one over here. Yeah, I got all kinds of dice here. See, we got all these lovely D20s here. I'm going to roll a few of these. Oh, that's nice. All right. You guys arrive at the cemetery. As you do so, I would like you guys to roll what's called a perception check. Perception again on the D20. And we're going to give a bonus to the fighter and a bonus to the warlock, meaning that I want the fighter to roll a 14 or higher. I want the warlock to roll a 16 or higher.
No shit.
Oh shit! I got an 18.
19. All right. And Carl?
Well, that's it for the podcast. I rolled a 1.
A natural 1. Warlock, you are reasonably confident that this is, in fact, a cemetery. Yeah, that's what you perceive.
Yeah.
You do not perceive what the fighter perceives. The fighter sees a cloaked figure dragging something away on the far side of the cemetery through the darkness.
All right. Yeah.
Forewarning, if he gets excited over his own dice rolls, you're in trouble.
I can feel I can feel the presence of danger. Yet I am afraid. Yet I am not frightened.
Okay.
I'm scared shitless because I rolled a 1.
Awesome. Yep. It's amazing. Yep. All right. What do? You see this hooded figure dragging a body away.
Stop.
Yo. You're gonna go after him?
Oh. All right.
You go after him. All right. Cool. As you approach him, the figure turns and looks at you, and you see that his face is like slowly melting off of his skull, and this thing appears to also be dead itself. And it looks at you, it drops the feet of the corpse it was dragging away, it snarls, and it's going to charge at you. And we're now going to do what's called roll initiative, which means that we're going to find out who goes first in battle.
Oh, shit. 1. Come on, 1. Come on, 1.
Yep. Dexterity bonus to the fighter is a +2, so add 2 to whatever you rolled on the die. Dexterity for the warlock is going to be lower, so you're actually going to remove 1 from the die on yours.
Well, that'll make mine a 6.
Okay, so you got to roll a 6, and what do you got there, sir?
I got a 4.
You got a 4?
Liar.
Cool. Zombie's going to roll. Zombie also got a 4. Hey, that's a great app. I love that one. Yeah. Zombie also got a 4, which means that the one who got a 6 goes first. All right. So, Warlock, you do have a crossbow, but you're a magic user. So I feel like your first, you're probably going to do something. You know what? Go ahead and cast something like, do you get, hang on, you're level 1 Warlock. It means you got some cantrips here. I'm going to give you, for purposes of understanding how this works, I'm going to give you something called Eldritch Blast.
Is that like Kamehameha?
Yeah, it's a spell. It's a spell. I'll describe it to you. A beam of crackling energy streaks toward a creature within range. Make a ranged spell attack against the target. On a hit, the target takes 1d10 force damage.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So, roll me a d20. You need to hit this zombie's armor class, meaning that if you roll lower than this number, you miss. If you roll higher than this number, you hit. Go ahead and roll.
Oh, son of a... 1.
You rolled a 1?
I need new dice.
So, that's what's called a critical failure, by the way. So, I'll narrate what happens here. You reach down into yourself and the dark energy from your devilish patron who has given you his power, and you can feel your patron, wherever he is off in the abyssal plane, look at you with a measure of pride and then facepalm as your Eldritch Blast crackles into your hands and fires out of your palms. But as you were doing so, the fighter was running toward the zombie, and you hit your fighter companion.
I like it.
So, you accidentally hit the fighter with your elder. So, I want you to go ahead and roll 1 10-sided die and tell me how much damage the fighter just took from him running in front of your spell.
I'm going to laugh if it... 7.
Cool. The fighter takes 7 damage. By the way, on that, you've got a total of... Let me just check, actually. A fighter at level 1. It's been a while. I'm just going to grab this here real quick.
I'm dead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You killed me.
No, I don't think you're... Yeah, that's fine. I don't think you're...
It's a flesh wound. It's a flesh wound.
There's a flesh wound. Yeah, your arm falls off. What? No, it's fine. We're going to go ahead and grab this. You have... your constitution modifier, I said, was 2 earlier. So you have a total of 12 hit points.
I took half of them.
You were 5. Shit.
Yep. Awesome. So you got 5 left. Excellent. That was your turn. Now it is the fighter's turn, and the fighter is now in front of this zombie, and you just went and you got hit by a crackling beam of energy in your back. What do you want to do with that, sir?
Hit me.
I'll still try to get up and fight.
Are you? Yeah, you can. So technically, you can do anything you want. You're allowed to run if you want. You're allowed to engage the zombie in combat if you want. You're allowed to go back to the warlock and be like, "The fuck, bro," and try and lop his head off if you want. Like it's, you can do whatever you want.
I'll go deal with the warlock first.
You're going to deal with the warlock? Be like, "What's up, bro?" Okay, cool. Warlock. So you walk up. You basically just walk up to the warlock and be like, "Yeah." And you're gonna. Yeah. Are you gonna try and kill the warlock? You're just gonna try and smack him around a bit.
Smack him around a bit.
You're gonna smack him around. All right, cool. You're gonna go ahead and you're gonna use the flat of your blade, not the sharp end of your blade. You're just gonna be like, "Hey, pay attention, you idiot." That kind of stuff. Go ahead and roll me an attack roll against the warlock, whose armor class, by the way, is his armor class for a warlock. I'm gonna give it. Yeah, I'll give you some light armor. So you want to roll a 12 or higher here.
Okay, so that's a D10.
D20 for an attack roll. It's a D20.
Yeah, here we go. 1.
Oh. You gave me a nice slap on the behind. I like it.
You rolled a nat 1. You take your sword and you start trying to slap the guy, and instead the sword slips out of your hand a little bit, and instead your hand touches his face in an almost affectionate way, just exactly. And the two of you are just staring into each other's eyes for a second. Maybe it's uncomfortable. Maybe you're into it. We'll never know. Because now it's the zombie's turn, and he's just looking at the two of you being like, "The fuck?" And he's just gonna walk up to the fighter behind him, and he's gonna be like, "Aight," and he's gonna slam you with his arm. He's gonna roll. Your armor class, by the way, is 14. He does miss you with his first slam. His other arm comes out, and it does hit. So he's now gonna roll. I need more dice. He's gonna roll. Where's my D6?
I'm liking this so far.
I'm liking it.
Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons. You're having a great time. Yeah. All right. And he's going to roll his damage. He did 4 damage to you. Just crack right in the back of your skull. How many hit points you got left now? I think 1, right?
So.
I'll fix that on the next roll.
Excellent. Very good. And that's the zombie's turn. We are now back at the top of initiative order, meaning that the warlock is going to go again. You got a zombie right behind you, right up in front of your face. What you going to do, man?
I'm gonna run faster than the fighter.
You're bailing. Just be like, "Peace out, mother. What's up?"
I'll try and hit him again with a.
Do another Eldritch Blast. Go for it.
Sure.
Go for it. Yeah.
So we're gonna 19.
19. That hits. Go ahead and roll your damage. 1d10 damage against the zombie.
4.
4 damage. The zombie swallows this thing, just and back, and he stumbles back a couple of feet. And he swallows. You know he swallows, man. Yeah, he looks like he might have enjoyed it. He did not enjoy it. All right, and the zombie just gets knocked back a couple steps, and then that brings us back to the fighter. That's the fighter, the warlock, stepped away from you, like, "Bruh," and did another Eldritch Blast. Be like, "Are you good? You good?" All right. And then the fighter, what are you doing? You're going to turn around and face the zombie, or are you going to still try and smack the warlock around a little bit?
I'll go for the zombie.
You're going for the zombie. All right. You're gonna charge at him. Go ahead. Make an attack roll.
All right, here we go. I got an 8.
An 8. However, an 8. As a fighter, you gain your proficiency bonus, which at level 1 is 2, so it's actually a 10. You also gain your strength modifier, which in my head, I've given you a strength modifier of 3, which is an additional, that's a 13, which is a hit. So, your sword that you hit him with, you're actually going to go ahead and roll a d8. An 8-sided die to calculate your damage against the zombie. See, fighters are good. 4 more damage? Cool. You take your sword out and you run up to this zombie. You just and head flies completely off the zombie. The corpse falls down to the ground.
We win.
You won the fight. That's the combat piece, right? And also a little bit of affectionate touching between these two new companions, which is lovely to see. It's beautiful. And the zombies go in the middle of a fight too. It was great. So the zombie falls to the ground. The corpse is there. The zombie is there. And you guys are now in a quiet cemetery, and nothing is happening. What do you guys want to do?
Can we go back to affectionately touching each other?
I mean, if you'd like.
I'm like, peace out. I'm going to the bar.
Yeah, go back. Yeah. You took 2 hits. You took a hit from the warlock and a hit from the zombie. You're just like, fuck it, beer.
Rummage.
You gonna rummage? Loot the body?
Yes.
All right, cool. Are you gonna loot the zombie's body? Or are you gonna loot the corpse from the grave as well?
I want to see what the zombies got on them to see if it might give any clues as to what happens. What's going on?
What you find around the zombie's neck is a pendant that you don't recognize. It has like a symbol kind of hanging around it that appears to be from some kind of sect. It appears to be religious in nature. Roll me a religion check on it, actually. Go ahead and roll me a religion check. It's a D20. You're going to go ahead and add 3 to the roll that you get.
7.
Total of 7?
Total of 7.
Okay, total of 7. All right. You're not sure, but you're able to tell this is religious in nature, but the religion it's describing is one you don't recognize. Yeah.
Where do we go from here? You're up on decisions. I want to loot the body. You want to touch the body? I mean, it's up to you.
I'll go for the grave.
You're gonna go for the grave?
You want to look at the dead body that he was dragging, or it was dragging?
I want to go for the grave. I want to go for the grave.
The grave the body was in, or the body that used to be in the grave?
No, the grave the body was in.
Okay, you're going to the grave. All right. You go up to the hole. You see the casket that's been busted open. In the bottom of the casket, you see an amulet that used to be on the body that must have fallen off of it while the body was there. It looks like it might be valuable. Are you an honorable fighter, or are you about to yoink the...
Hey, I'm a fighter, so I'll take it.
All right. You take the amulet. As you take the amulet, you hear a voice in your head. As soon as you touch the amulet, you hear a voice in your head. And the voice is coming into your mind as you touch the amulet. And it basically says, "Welcome to the Amulet of Enlightenment."
Don't shoot it.
Para español, el número 2.
Yeah. I'm not kidding. That's a little... Yeah. To identify an object in front of you, say the number 1. I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
1.
Yeah.
What? Damn it.
And the voice comes back into your head. This is the body of the nobleman, Aaron Weisenberg, who was known for his capacity to identify because he had this amulet on him. He was buried with it in order to prevent its secret from being made known. This has been another use of the Identify Amulet. Bing!
Thank you for calling the Amulet Identification Service.
Legit. Yeah.
Please stay on the line for a quick 5-minute survey.
Exactly. Yeah. If you want to roll an Arcana check on this amulet, go ahead and do that. Roll me an Arcana check. It's an intelligence-based score, which as a fighter you wouldn't be super great at. So go ahead and roll me a... I'm setting the difficulty check, DC difficulty check, at 15 for this. You get a -1 to this roll.
In the most polite way, he called you stupid.
You're a fighter. Of course you're stupid. That's your job.
A 5.
You rolled a 5? Cool. You think that this amulet might be magical, as it literally just spoke into your own head.
Captain Obvious.
There it is.
Okay.
You stole it. It's yours. You keep it. Smart ass.
I'm selling it.
All right. You're going to sell the amulet of identifier. Yep. It's amazing. Yeah. That's literally it. Those are the dice rolls. I basically just created a scenario for you guys. You guys went. You won.
That was freaking awesome. That was amazing.
That is Dungeons and Dragons. And you notice no maps, no mini figures, but you need figures. Buy this guy's figures. Buy the figures. Yeah, he builds good figures. I've seen his figures. You need to buy his figures. Yeah. You can play that. Like, we could have done that with maps and figurines and everything, but I was just like, I'll invent a zombie for you guys to kill. Why not? It'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that was I like that. Definitely.
Yeah, I like that.
That's Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, you can get modules that walk you through a whole story, but you don't necessarily need a whole story. That's literally how you play the game. And you guys did fantastic.
Don't take it. It's a trick. I told you.
I told you. Hey, like I basically don't. I just go with instinct. I don't follow. Hey, don't do that.
Well, one last question from me. Like when we were doing that.
Yep.
Only because Jagwagon here takes forever and a day.
Yep.
Is there? Sorry, Freddie Mercury. I didn't mean to step on you there.
There's a tanto. Slow it down.
Do you have like a like in chess, like a chess timer or something for someone to come up with a decision or add to the scenario, or is everyone just pretty much just freelancing, goofing up, like kind of like what we were doing, and
More or less, yeah, exactly like what we were doing. I have never needed to put someone on a timer. I've never had to tell someone, "Hey, you got to make a decision." I gotta say, if I was ever in a position where someone was taking a long time to come up with something, I would probably just like punish them for thinking about it too long, being like, "While you're thinking about it, the monster does this." I'd be like, yeah. I have done that before with the party when they were just sitting here being like, "Well, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this," and then be like, "By the way, you turn back and he's gone. He's straight up gone. Like, what's up?" Yeah.
Okay. So there's options there to further engage them into the story.
Exactly. Yeah.
So make it a bit more realistic. It's like, yeah, well, while you're thinking, he's gnawing on your ankles right now. Just saying.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Like you're actively dying now. Like, what do you want? What's up? Right?
You are sinking in quicksand, so make it quick.
Exactly.
Okay. So I got a question for you.
Answer for you.
So let's say you want to go with the figurines. Which figurines people should get?
You know what? I love HeroForge.net. But anything that is meaningful to you, if you can build your own, build your own. But I mean, I have used chess pieces as figurines. Just something like the idea of the figurines that you use it to like visualize where you are on the map, right? Which, I mean, there were some mechanics in the battle that we just fought that I ignored because we were doing it Theater of the Mind. At one point, for example, I could have conceived that the warlock would have been on one side of the zombie and the fighter would have been on the other side of the zombie, which means that you're doing something called flanking, right? And when you're flanking, that means that when the fighter attacked the zombie, you don't actually roll a d20 to attack him. You roll 2 d20s and you take the higher of the two. It's called rolling with advantage. And you do that because you're flanking. So it's like a tactical bonus that you can get for fighting that way. I have done that with the party without using figurines or maps because they know about it. They'd be like, "Oh, I want to walk like to the other side of the monster where the other person is so that I get the flanking bonus." I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." And we do that. We kind of do it that way. Also worth noting, every round of combat, like when we went from the top of the initiative order to the bottom of the initiative order, there was like, zombie moves, warlock moves, fighter moves. All of that happens in 6 seconds of game time. That's the idea of how that works, which means that a round of combat takes 6 seconds. Why is that relevant? Well, because you can't, like, if the zombie was, 300 feet away from you, no, you can't run up to the zombie in one round. You have 30 feet of movement per round if you're a medium-sized humanoid. And so those are things where like maps and figurines can come in helpful, but if you've got a good group of players, and I have a fantastic group of players, and if you're, just slightly imaginative as a DM, you don't necessarily need the map and the figurines to make that happen.
Okay.
Yeah. But I've gotten a figurine from Hero Forge. If I ever get one again, I'll commission Carl to make it for me.
Yeah, because I've got
So somebody just said that's why he killed him.
Yeah.
Well, because
someone says that's why. I've killed Lily multiple times because she's a vampire. When she dies, she just turns into a mist, goes back into her coffin necklace that she's got, and regenerates. I can kill her as many times as I want. It's great fun. Hey, what's up, Lily? How are you?
Whatever stinks your kink. But because I got two resin printers, and one of the ideas behind getting them was to make figurines. Either make them or find a good source of models that I can print, sell, or just make for myself. Right now, it's just a bunch of make stuff for myself. So, I mean, or throw them in a 3D model program, pick pieces off. Like, let's take a Transformer arm and slap it on an ogre or something like that, and he's got a, kind of like a Tiny Tina Borderlands type mechanic thing, and there's this modified orc or something like that.
You can absolutely do that. And I mean, that's the other thing as well about D&D is that it doesn't have to be in a setting like swords and magic. I'm running a campaign with my 2 oldest kids right now as well, very sporadically, but they woke up on a starship. And they're like, what is this? And they're like, dealing with warp drives and computer panels and stuff, and they don't let. But the mechanics are the shell, and you can put whatever theme you want in that shell. right?
Okay.
If someone wants to watch a game of D&D happen in a more full way than what I can provide doing just theater of the mind, I cannot recommend this show enough. It's called Dimension 20. It is on YouTube. They have got a subscription service as well. But it's like, if you guys remember the College Humor Cast, it's them playing D&D.
Okay.
And it's fantastic. The show is called Dimension 20. The Dungeon Master is Brennan Lee Mulligan. Their first season is one called Fantasy High. Go watch this show. It's amazing. And you can, by the time you get to the end of that first season, you will have a good working knowledge of how the rules that apply and how they don't always have to, and how people can get together and just use their role play and their imagination to just make something amazing happen.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Well, David, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I had fun with the little scenario we just made.
Yeah.
That's for you. She said bite me. So that's between you guys.
Yeah, I know
don't
what she's
get
talking
involved.
about. Don't worry about it.
Don't get involved.
my players love joshing with me, and I love torturing them. You know, come at me. I'll kill Brolin. Do you think I won't kill Brolin, your favorite NPC character? Come at me again. What's up? Yeah, I'll kill him off. It's fine. Yeah.
No, but it's been more education about learning it, because I remember, I don't know if you remember this, Pinoy, but back in some point in the 80s, between the 90s, there was like a board game of D&D. It
Yes,
was like,
they had one. Yeah.
their little figurine and all stuff. So I used to play, like, that's how I used to play. Like, okay, throw the dice, read the card, you go in here, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that.
But after that, I stopped playing it for and that scenario, and then I'm like, okay. Then I started hearing people, and I started going to bookstores, hobby stores, D&D. Like, is that the same Dungeons and Dragons I used to?
Kind of. Thematically, yes.
Like,
Thematically, it very much is. Mechanically, of course, things are different because, I mean, there's no board, there's no cards. I mean, I'm presume you could make that up if you wanted to, but yeah. Yeah, it's very much the same thing.
Sweet.
So, but it's good, it's good for all those that are not in the D&D world. Those are basically some of the scenarios and how to imagine what's going on and how you're going to proceed from there. Anything else from there? Hey, follow my man Megas on TikTok. Find him. Go on YouTube. Go on Instagram. There's a bunch of D&D players that will explain a little bit more. And Google helps, every now and then. But you can find something out there. Just don't listen to what the warlock here has to say. You don't have to shoot. Blaming me for getting in the way and then looking at me funny. But it is what it is.
You rolled a two steps over, and that was right in my line of fire. So
That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what
that's
happened.
your fault. Your fault.
You rolled the one, bro.
I'm pretty confident I hit him.
Yes.
No, you hit me.
You hit something. You hit something.
You
yeah.
hit me.
I hit something. I'm confident I hit something.
Yeah.
Not
Actually,
sure
you,
what.
you never missed. You hit your partner and then you hit the zombie. Like, you never miss.
No, the question is, did you have your glasses on at the moment?
Is that right? Yeah.
They're for nearsighted, so I probably did have them on.
Yeah,
I thought
there it
you
is,
were
right?
over here.
Perfect.
Okay. But it's been fun.
I had a great time.
Definitely keep looking into it. I saw a couple books of D&D, like characters and stuff, like how you that you can write down and make notes, which is kind of cool because it's like this big booklet. It has like for characters, build the levels, whatever the spells, whatever, like all the action that you will have in the skills, basically for a character, and the area where you're at, who you're playing, and all that. I will try to get me one and maybe eventually join and start playing D&D.
Yeah. I mean,
All you
again,
guys,
can't emphasize this enough. It's about stories, and stories have connected human beings with each other since we have existed. It's always been a thing for human beings to tell stories to each other. It's the way we've connected, built societies, built communities. So keep building those things.
but no, you can make one story. You will have an awesome witch to hunt.
Yeah, there it is.
Mm.
But
Build
you
a
can
witch.
give her all
Mhm.
the 20,000 deaths of eternity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'm on the quest. Well, no, I'm on the quest to kill a witch and a warlock.
There you go.
The two of them.
Yeah, you know how it is. Hey, but thank you very much, Tim Megas, for joining us.
I'm happy to
Knowing,
be on. Thank you so much for inviting me.
always, always. Thank you, Benoit, for another great show and for doing your little magic with the screen that I can't do. I'm, a little bit doo doo.
We're gonna have
But
to change up the next background. Throw some D&D backgrounds back. Some more
hey,
fantasy
yeah,
backgrounds.
of course.
Change it
Do
up.
that. Do that.
We will. We will definitely revisit this area again soon enough. But like I always say, for everybody out there, thank you for joining. What we do in life, guys, echoes through eternity. So let's keep spreading the love, the knowledge, and hope to see you guys soon. This is Maverick Wolf, Benoit Daddy, and Megas.
Have a good night.
Peace.
Later.